I will present you now with each subject pronoun along with their English equivalents, as well as a sample of the verb in action. The first subject pronoun we get to is yo, which means I. Used in a sentence, it might say yo pago, meaning I pay for. Then we have tú, which means you. This form of you is used towards somebody that is familiar to you. If we want to use tú in a sentence, we could say something like tú charlas, which means you chat or you are chatting. Usted is the form of you that we use when we are talking to someone in a formal manner. People we might talk to in a formal manner include police officers, doctors, judges, or even the mailman. Let's now use usted in a sentence. For example, usted necesita, you need. Now here's an interesting subject pronoun, vosotros. Vosotros is the plural form of the familiar you pronoun, tú. Although technically part of Castilian Spanish, it is used infrequently in the Americas. You might find vosotros being used in Spain when King Juan Carlos gives his State of the Union speech. Now let's use vosotros in a sentence. We could say, vosotros miráis, you all see. On to ustedes. Ustedes is the plural form of the formal you, or usted. It is, though, also the plural form of you used instead of vosotros. Used in a sentence, ustedes hablan means you all speak. The subject pronoun meaning we is nosotros. Nosotros can also be changed to nosotras when the people referred to in the subject pronoun are women. Here's an example of a verb phrase with nosotros. Nosotros practicamos. This sentence means we practice, or can also mean we are practicing. The subject pronoun for he is él. Notice the diacritical mark or the accent above the e. This means that él is pronounced él with a forceful e sound because it distinguishes itself from the definite article el, as in el gato, the cat. An example of the subject pronoun él in action is él asiste, meaning he attends. The subject pronoun ella is Spanish for she. Ella used in a sentence, for example, would be ella tuerce, she twists. The subject pronoun ellos is the plural form of él, or he, and it means they. Ellos can also refer to a group of girls if there is at least one or two guys in the group. An example of ellos in action is ellos fuman, which means they smoke. Ellas is the plural form of ella, and it also means they. However, it is referring to a group of girls or feminine nouns. Used in a sentence, ellas juegan means they play. And what we get out of this sentence is a group of girls are playing. Below is a complete list of the pronouns used in Spanish with their English equivalents. These need to be memorized as they are the basis of forming cohesive Spanish sentences. A list like that, however, can be clunky. It's better to visualize the subject pronouns in table format. In our table, we're going to label a column singular. Then, we'll label the next column over plural. Now, let's start labeling the rows. The rows will be important later on when we conjugate our verbs. The first row is labeled first person. You might ask yourself, what does first person mean? First person is used when we explicitly refer to ourselves using words and phrases involving I. This is referred to as the first person singular. First person can also be denoted as we when we refer to ourselves and other people. The next row down is labeled second person. When someone is referenced to in the second person, we're referring to them as you, you all, or even the Texan y'all. The third row is labeled third person. The third person is the literary device used when referring to other people or things who may or may not be present. Now, let's fill in our table with the corresponding subject pronouns. In the first person singular box, we will put yo, and as you recall, yo meant I. Into the second person singular box, we will put tu, and as you recall here, tu means you. Into the third person singular category, there are going to be three separate subject pronouns occupying this box: él, ella, and usted. All three of these pronouns will use the same verb conjugations. Now let's go over to the plural column. The first person plural is nosotros. Nosotros means we. As you recall, the first person was a literary device used to include I or we. Then, the second person plural is vosotros. Remember, vosotros is mainly used in Spain and hardly used in Latin America, and it is the plural form of you. And like their third-person singular cousins, the third-person plural will also exhibit three separate subject pronouns that have the same conjugation: ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Ahora practiquemos. Let's practice. Here's an example of a verb chart that I want you to use. This chart will be revisited in the upcoming lessons when we start conjugating our verbs. See if you can fill in the chart with the correct subject pronouns. Once you can do that from memory, you'll be ready for the next lesson.